Hello, everyone. Welcome to another very sterling and happy wild moments show powered by explorer.org. We're very happy to have you all on board today. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today is Ben, which is very exciting because Ben and I haven't done one of these ones before together. It's our first time
It's
working
lovely to be
together.
back, certainly.
Oh, I think maybe my internet is showing some sort of a delay, which is great. But I'm sure the powers that be with the tech world will be able to help us with all of this.
Yeah, it does seem to be a bit of a delay, but I'm sure we'll figure that out.
I'm going to give it 2 seconds to see if maybe this delay works. But in the meantime, let me just remind everyone that this is a live and interactive show. So if you are watching and you have any questions or any comments, or you want to say hello or anything about it, or comment, or tell us about what we're looking, please feel free to do so. We would much prefer it if other people interacted with us, because as much as I like Ben and as much as Ben likes me too, our hearts are very big, so we can include other people in our daily show today. Alrighty. It seems like we are out of sync. Sorry, guys. I know we are trying to figure it out and fix it. But in the meantime, while I try to do that, I'm just going to get through some of the hellos that we have been sent for today. So, Kaoru and Ali, well, hello to you. Kaoru, where are you from? That sounds like an interesting name. Rolling Trouble, hi, Ali and Ben from Washington. Hello back.
Greetings, greetings.
And hello from Seattle. I'm ready for an exciting show with my coffee. Woohoo! We all know that I'm on the coffee team, so that always makes me very excited when people have their coffee with them. Aussie Jan, I know I can count on you for this one. Good afternoon, mates. Coffee time. Always a great thing. Daryl, hello, Ali. Hello, Ali and Ali from the downtown urban jungle called Toronto. Coffee in hand with smiles. I think maybe you meant Ali and Ben, but it's fine. We'll forgive you. I can be a double person if you want me to. But that
I
is
could also
fine.
be known as Ali if needs be.
Well, whatever works. Amber from CEO, which I imagine is Colorado. Please let me know if I'm mistaken. Happy Thursday to all. I am ready for another wonderful show. So are we. It seems like this week we have a very exciting theme to our show, which gets me very, very happy because it's all about babies, fur babies, and of course, feathered babies and nests and things like that. Well, that should be pretty exciting. Sorry, Ben, you were trying to say something?
No, I think the sync is also confusing me as well. I was just saying, you guys can all have your coffee, but I'm going to always stick with my tea.
Alrighty. So while we try to figure out what is happening with the logistics and the powers that be in cyberspace, we're going to send you guys across to our very first clip of the afternoon, which I am sure is going to be adorable. And then we shall comment about it once we are done with it. Well, let's hope the sync works. Almost. No, maybe there's just a little bit of a delay, but we can deal with that. We've dealt with worse thing in the past, but how adorable was that clip? I think it's one of my favorites that I've seen on the Africam. It is just ridiculous how fluffy it is.
Particularly that one at the back. How what a poser that one right at the end there. And what was so cool to see is his or her pupils dilating as well. But they're so curious and incredible, incredible, it's fantastic.
I had a bit of a chuckle. So we've got all the cubs from the Takazile. Did I get that right? Takazile Pride. Yes, up in Baluli. And I was laughing when the little cub just poses and just stares down at the camera. And I was like, how many humans where they're on the other side also just like putting their chins down and then just adoring this little lion cub? It would have been quite an interesting experiment if you could have had a camera facing both the lion and the human at the same time. Because I mean, look at those little paws and those eyes.
Yeah, incredibly cute. I also liked right at the beginning as well when we were watching. Obviously, they were suckling, and Mum said enough. When this sort of camera zoomed out a little bit, you could just see two eyes in the background as well, which all looked rather menacing. But that really is one of the cutest faces I have seen for a very, very long time.
It is pretty hilarious. I do find it funny though with lions. It's just how the mothers decide to feed them, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Enough! I said enough!" And then they just have to eventually move because when the cubs are hungry, they just become little pests, don't they? They're just desperate for food. Look at them, and it's not like they look unfed or malnourished or anything like it. They're actually looking that they've had a nice meal, nice full bellies on all of them.
Absolutely. Of course, there's always a willing female. The beauty of the synchronized births and the allo suckling means that there's usually plenty of milk to go around, so long as they are successful. Of course, they need enough food to produce that milk. But yeah, that little one at the end, I must admit, has melted my heart a little bit. It puts a silly, cheesy grin on my face every time that we show the clip again.
There's no shame in adoring lion cubs, Ben. Right. I think we might be still slightly out of sync. So, in order to avoid that, and then maybe try to continue working with everything that's happening with our sync, we are going to send you guys across to our next video clip, which is of a feathered creature that we're very excited to welcome back onto Wild Moments this year. I think the very first Wild Moments show I ever did was actually looking at this pair of Rose eagle owls, or, eagle owl for rose eagles, no eagle owl. Hello, hello, and welcome back, guys. We're excited to have you on camera once more.
Magnificent birds those are, huh? It's been a while since I've last seen a Burroughs eagle. I was trying to think when I last saw one. I think it was probably along the cliffs. Sorry, I'm getting my words confused. Up in Makaleki in the Northern Kruger, but what a spectacular bird.
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting because we've got the female Makatsa and the male Mashlori, if I've got this right. Hopefully I do. And then just last year, they managed to raise you know, their baby from being an eagle all the way to a fledgling to potentially a wild and free eagle that is now roaming the sky somewhere else again. And it is very exciting because we have confirmation from the research center that actually studies these eagles that apparently she did lay her very first egg or yesterday, which we're very excited about. Now, eagles generally will lay more than one egg. So the first one has been laid in the last 24 hours, we assume, and very likely the next one is going to be laid in the next couple of days.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of nature's things that's always a bit brutal, that second egg, particularly in raptors, being an insurance policy. And having done a little bit of digging as well, I mean, it's almost guaranteed that there is going to be some siblicide between the two of them, which is such a shame. But that second egg is always seen as an insurance policy. But what I actually found very interesting when I was doing a little bit of research was just how long that hatching process takes. They seem to think that from once that egg starts to hatch after the incubation period, it takes that little one the best part of 48 hours to actually completely escape from the egg itself. I mean, what a traumatic birth period that must be. 2 days to clamber your way out of that egg. Interesting to know that it doesn't seem that there's any help from the parents that you might see in crocodiles, for example. But I guess it's quite a solid egg, being a big eagle. But imagine taking 2 days to get it out of your egg. And then they don't get fed, apparently, for the first day and a half or something. They don't get any food, which was you think you'd be exhausted after having spent 2 days trying to escape that egg, and then you have to wait another day and a half before you get any food.
It's potentially why they kill their siblings. They're hungry.
Maybe, yeah. They're just really hungry after that period of waiting.
Yeah, it is a little bit crazy, but we are excited. So if you watch the cameras for the next little while, hopefully we'll be able to eventually see when she lays the second egg or the insurance egg. And then in the next couple of months, then probably around June, it's expected that the first one will hatch. So keep your eyes out on the camera because maybe we'll get some nice action again this year. There have been some hellos while we've been trying to sort out the tech and looking at the eagle. But let me just get through them quickly. Kaoru, you say you live in the US. Well, very nice to know that. I just like your name, so I wondered where your name was originally from too. Jan Powers, you're saying hi, Ali and Ben from sunny Arizona. Well, hello from a very sunny Hitsbraid. It's actually exciting because I don't always do the shows with somebody that lives in my same town. Caroline Morgan, you say hello from Texas and hello from Alison in Liverpool, UK. Oh, we've got people from everywhere. That is very cool. And Bob from Kalamazoo. Good day, Ali, and welcome to Ben. Well, that is very cool. I think
Yeah,
we've
thank
got
you,
everyone.
everybody.
Yeah, and then Zygote is saying nice explanation, Ben, regarding to your explanation about the hatchlings and why they get angry when they're born and how long the process actually takes them to become little eagles. Tim does have a question, and he's wondering if the chick would ever fall out of the nest. I mean, suppose there is always a
I saw the
possibility.
question. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know
it's
if it's
that
ever
is.
happened, but long way down from a cliff where they do nest. I know the eggs are normally that sort of piriform shape, so that they're designed not to roll around too far. But I've never heard of a nest of a rose eagle falling out of a nest. I would hope they wouldn't. But I guess, as you said, it's always a possible. But those nests are quite deep. You can see there, we can barely even see the egg. So I think they've got a reasonable sort of rim to protect them. But it'd be interesting to know if it has ever happened.
I mean, hopefully we won't witness it this time around. We want them to just make it, or we
Let's
want
hope
it to
not.
make
Yeah.
it. But I suppose there is always a possibility. And what was interesting was one of the comments from everyone that's been watching the camera for a while is that this year it seems like they've raised the nest, so it's actually deeper. There are a lot more twigs and sticks around it. So it might actually take us a little bit longer to actually see the first chick when it hatches and so on. But I'm sure as it grows, and we'll be able to see it and see where it goes. I suppose if we want to get really technical, the first flight is falling out of the nest. I mean, what better thing than baptism by fire, right? They're just going to
Well,
have
maybe there
to
was an incident
fall
last
down.
year. Yeah.
I think Kurz does have a video of the eaglet from last year, so maybe let's go across and see that. See if
Hmm.
maybe I don't know what the video is like, but maybe it'll be the first flight. That would be very good timing, wouldn't it? Very relevant to right now.
Cross fingers. Oh, you can see a little
Oh,
fluffy head.
that's
Oh,
adorable.
look at it. Okay, I now want a baby eagle to go along with my lion cub.
Then you cannot be that greedy. You can't have them all.
Look at those stumpy little wings. Oh, a bit of feeding. What you got there? I'm imagining that's probably a hyrax. Well, and there's the difference in the size already. I wonder what the difference is there in terms of time.
Look at the big eagle feathers starting to appear.
Very rotund legs. I know, obviously covered in feathers all the way down. Oh, you've got a little chestnut cat. That's rather pretty. course, this is not something we get to witness out there. We don't normally get a bird's eye view of the nesting site. There we go.
Sorry, if you guys hear barking, I've actually got Taylor's dog with me, and then he might have seen his own eagle flying about, and he's not too happy about it. So, hey, what you
Hello,
doing? We're
Tucker.
talking about eagles here. So, sorry about that. Sit. Do you want to learn about black eagles? They're very cool. But continuing with our theme of feathered animals, and I'm sure it'll be more exciting times ahead just looking at the nest cam. We've got another nest cam that we're going to be looking at in the next couple of weeks. Well, not only a nest cam, but it's also on the ground, and it's very exciting because it'll be about a very unusual African bird. Can I call it that? Can we introduce some mystery? Ah, well, it is, of course, the African penguin. This is very, very nice. And we're just, I think Africam's just installed the camera down at Stony Point, down in Cape Town, all the way pretty much on the opposite end of the country from where Ben and I are currently standing. But it'll be nice to watch this and just learn more about African penguins. I mean, I think of all of us, Trishal is probably the one with most experience with penguins, if you did specialize in penguins. But for all of us that cannot be there, well, this is pretty interesting. Look at that little chip.
Yeah, got themselves a lovely little secluded spot down there. I'm not quite sure what's going on in there at the moment. But yeah, I've been down to Boulders Beach, and they are such entertaining creatures waddling around. And again, they never fail to. Ah, okay.
Parent. Maybe it's the equivalent of bath time of what's happening around here.
Ooh, what
Oh
was
no,
that? Something stuck its head in on the right-hand
that
side of
looked
the screen there.
kind of looked like a mongoose, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, no, it's a
Janet!
genet.
Oh no, not a Janet!
They've got an audience.
Oh my goodness. I mean, genets do pose a threat for penguin chicks and eggs, so this might not be the ideal scenario that we want to be looking at right now. But okay, at least the genet got a frog and went
Oh,
away.
Janet is a bit scarred after that.
Well, don't think the genet must just go eat fruit and other things. It's not nice to go eat a penguin on a live camera.
No. I'm not quite sure if you could see what was going on there, Ali, whether that was some sort of courtship or whether that was the actual mating thing. Because from what I know of African penguin courtship, what I have to say is fairly limited. It is quite funny to watch. The sort of the male stretches his neck up, and then he approaches the female, and then sort of does this with his flippers and sort of taps her as all part of the display.
No, I think that was very funny what we watched, but I think it was I would have thought like just looking at the at what we were looking at that was the chick, and I think Kirst is saying on the video that that
Yeah.
was a chick in the nest, and there was some sort of like
Ah,
parental
okay.
care going on, because it looks
Yes, there
fluffier
was a
and
bit of
doesn't have
grooming.
the right coloration, but it is tricky to see because of course it's a little bit further away, but now we know what we're looking at, and now we can keep an eye out there. But for interest's sake, there is another video of the courtship between the African penguins. So maybe let's go have a
Well,
look
maybe
at
you can
that.
see my beautiful rendition that I just did. We'll see how accurate it was.
Then you should definitely redo it. I mean, if you can. Is this the way you would dance, though?
This is better than my dancing, I can assure you. Ben does not dance under any circumstances. There we go. There's the slapping.
Just laughing.
She doesn't seem particularly impressed, I have to say. You
Well,
see, that's sort of me on the dance floor. No, I meant to do that. I meant to do that.
that is very interesting. So the peak of the penguin breeding, I believe, is at this time of the year. But as far as I know, they can breed throughout the year. And I don't know if this is the right case, Ben. So if you know better than me, please feel free to correct me. But Tim, you're wondering what happens if a penguin's mate dies? Well, generally, what happens with most of the animals that pair for life is if the mate dies, then they will likely look for another mate. So even if the breeding is not going according to plan, and if two penguins pair together and for let's say a couple of breeding seasons they don't manage to successfully raise a chick, then maybe they'll consider that they're not really meant to be together, and then they'll pretty much get a divorce and start over.
I also saw that, yeah, that there are divorces and remarriages based on sort of reproductive success. So, yeah, maybe they terminate a relationship, and then if it's not working elsewhere, they might go back and re-find that original partner.
Well, that's a very
But if
grown-up way of going on about it. Survival of the species is the end game here, not everyone's own pride and ego.
I don't think we've got.
That's
It's a shame we don't have a clip of the actual mating because I did a little bit of checking it on that as well. And when the female actually she sort of lies down prone on the ground with her chest on the ground, and the male has to pretty much sort of balance himself and lie on her back with all his sort of feet up in the air or his feet at his flippers up in the air, and she has to remain absolutely motionless, otherwise he would topple off the other side, which I thought was quite amusing as well. But they are such funny little things. They are highly entertaining, certainly.
okay. Ben, maybe you should answer this question for us, just for to support all of the males and all the species out there. But Kim Hai is asking if a female can reject a male, or how does the courtship work out with the penguins?
I I don't know exactly, but from what we can see here, I think she's been quite receptive. I mean, we're about to see because we've watched this here. But the fact that I think pretty sure that's the female now, sort of grooming the male. So I think she has agreed to his proposition, shall we say? But I imagine it. I don't know how the actual sort of the decision making process is done. Um, I know from a sort of a territorial standpoint, the male will sort of advertise himself to the females, and they do what's called an ecstatic display, where he again sort of stands with his wings out and neck outstretched and makes that rather amusing honking noise. Sounds a bit like a donkey, hence the jackass penguin as their other name. Um, so I guess it's all to do. Maybe the voice is important, a little bit like birds, the singing voice. But I'm sure a female can reject the male, and then he will just try again. I suppose we're fairly persistent.
Well done, good answer. I suppose I can. I mean, talking from experience, if we compare it to other animal species in general, there's always an option. Let's put it that way. It's not generally that, especially for animals that pair for life, it's not like the male will decide this is the one that I want and this is the one that I'm going for, and you've got no choice. Females also have generally a choice, and then sometimes depending on the species, they might just be sneaky. They might attract a few males around just to see what her best option is. Because obviously, females will generally look for, strongest, biggest, most beautiful genes that they can find in the genetic pool around them.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know. I don't know what they specifically look for, but a lot of it will probably be done with smell as well as with voice. And so another interesting thing I did find out was if you actually compare the sonograms of various different penguins, every single penguin has its own unique voice. That's how they find themselves after one of them goes to sea to go fishing and bring the fish back to the chick as well. So evidently there will be something within that voice that will appeal which I think is sort of the same in humans as well. There have been various studies being done that certain people are attracted to certain pitches and voices, even sort of unconsciously. So, but yeah, it'd be interesting to find out more.
Absolutely. I mean, if we compare it, if we want to go back now to the eagle clip, it is quite interesting because it's in the eagle's voice is a very important thing. Often you'll hear, and for most species of eagles, will have a constant reinforcement of their bond by calling. So typically, most species, it will be the female that starts calling, and then it's the male that answers back. So it'll be the same in the Varroes, where the same pair will come back year after year, pretty much to the same nest, and then they'll rebuild it and so on, and then they'll raise their young pretty much every year.
You know, to show I'd love to spend more time with these birds. They are just some of my favorite. If you've ever seen one up close, I mean, they are so incredible. I remember actually bumping into one almost literally at a botanical gardens, not here at Rudaport where this is, but I was sort of wandering around and I saw this thing on the other side of a flower bed, and I went for a closer look, and it was a black eagle wandering around. It had its wings clipped, which was I felt a real shame. But that thing is
Oh,
so
nice.
huge. I mean, it was nearly up to my hip in terms of size. It's a real shame we don't get to see them as much as we would, but so very specific habitat. I don't know, Ali, if you've ever seen one in and around this area I'm sure there are some nesting on the Drakensberg there, but I can't remember the last time I saw one in Kruger or this surrounding area.
No. The strangest thing that I recently saw that I nearly crashed my car was a long-crested eagle, which I don't know what it was doing. I had to do like a triple take, but I haven't seen any black eagles around here. But we do have a lot of cliffs, and we have rock hyraxes around here, which is what these birds
Hmm.
primarily feed upon. So I'm sure there's one. I think the last one that I saw was actually the same as you, was in up in northern Kruger by the Makuleki region. So don't think of any this far.
No, I'll have to keep an eye out because yeah, it would be really spectacular. Nice, relatively easy to identify as well with those markings, which is always nice. Although
Absolutely.
having had a good look at the juvenile there, or that immature one, it's nice to get a quick look at that. You could easily mistake that for one of many other brown eagles. It's always, as I'm sure you would agree, from a guiding perspective, an immature eagle is actually quite tricky to identify because there are so
No,
many that look
an
very, very similar.
immature eagle can be all of the eagles. It's always a problem. It's
Yeah.
very hard to identify. But seeing we've got a couple of minutes, we've got one last question. Or, well, if you want to send us a quickie one from before then, Gigi's wondering what is the main threat to the eagles? So, for the fledgling, pretty much anything that can climb up a cliff. So baboons can be a bit of a problem. If there are things like genets and maybe foxes that can reach the nest, they would still be an issue. Mongoose can also be a problem. Don't know if you can think of anything else, Ben. I think that's what I've got.
I think you probably covered, I imagine, some other birds of prey as well, potentially, while it's still on the nest. But I would think sort of in general, I guess we're down to the same old sort of habitat loss and humans in general. But I would think, yeah, from a nesting perspective, I think you probably covered most of them that I can think of there.
Yeah. I did not think of humans, but yeah, we do have to include ourselves as the main threat to anything, really, don't we?
Yeah,
Which is a little
unfortunate.
bit
But
sad.
yeah, habitat loss and availability of food, as you said, they are so, as far as I know, they are the most specific eagle in terms of their diet that we have here. So very much influenced by the distribution and availability of the hyraxes, the dassies. So that's one of the problems when you are quite so specific. If anything happens to your very specific food source, you yourself are going to struggle. So was that knock-on effect?
True. Fair enough. The good thing, though, and the silver lining to all of this is that for both species, the that we saw today, well, actually all three, because we saw lion, we saw the black eagles, and the penguins. All three of them live in areas that are now protected. So at least as humans, we are trying to mitigate the damage that we're doing and protecting this beautiful species. And it is exciting because now with these three different cameras, then we're going to be able to follow the lives of all these three different species. So that's going to be pretty cool for the next little while.
Absolutely, especially having already tracked last year's chick to fledging, which was great to see. Hopefully, we can do the same with this one as well with that eagle.
Absolutely. It is, however, our time to say goodbye. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us and for sending your comments and questions through. We are sorry that there seems to be a bit of a sync issue, but I am sure the tech team is hard at work to try and prevent this from the next time. But again, wonderful to have you all and can't wait to find out how the penguin and eagle story continues.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks very much. Great to see you again, Ali, and thank you everybody for joining us. And some absolutely spectacular clips there to enjoy.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.